All right, to the topic of the day here. How did Mandalay Bay security miss all the guns? Well, first of all, let me talk about my relationship with Las Vegas. First of all, I'm in Apple Valley, California, which is relatively close to Las Vegas. In fact, there's nothing but Barstow between myself and Las Vegas. So, and it's actually easier for me to fly out of Las Vegas than is LAX sometimes. So it's kind of down the street, in a manner of speaking. And so because of that, and we have basically the same kind of environment here. We're in the desert, just like Vegas. A lot of my friends moved to Vegas because it's a lot like Apple Valley, but a big city. And so the climate's basically the same, but got lots of jobs, so they move out there. And also, my family moved our corporation to Nevada in the early 90s. We had our corporate office in just on the Sahara Boulevard. And so I went to visit Las Vegas a lot. And almost moved there. So doing that so much. So, and also my relationship with Rotary, the district that my Rotary Club is in is District 5300, and that includes Clark County, Nevada. So I got lots and lots of Rotary friends out there too. So I have lots of friends over there. In fact, I don't know how many I have. I'm pretty sure the number of friends in Las Vegas is second only to my friends I have locally here in Apple Valley. So. That in mind, I was rightfully concerned when everything went down with the shooting in Las Vegas. First thing I thought, oh my God, some of my friends were there, and I naturally thought the worst. And thankfully, no one that I know of was injured or killed. I just thank for everybody because I really thought the worst. However, unfortunately, some of my friends knew those who had passed, got killed and or injured. So my sympathies and my heartfelt prayers go out to those folks out there. So, well, needless to say, this incident had brought up a lot of questions, like why did this guy do it? How did he get away with it? How did he get so many guns into the Mandalay Bay? Lots of questions, but one question I might be helpful with is might be asked about security surrounding Mandalay Bay. I mean, why didn't they catch him? Why didn't they? What kind of security equipment they have, and why this guy slipped through this whole thing here? So I figured if at the least I might be able to solve that one little portion of technology or security that may not be as controversial as other stuff. But important nonetheless. So anyway, to let you folks know out there, yeah, I used to do IT work for a few small hotels. And I also got to tour non-critical areas of a larger hotel to see what they do. And now I can't reveal a whole lot what I seen because for professional courtesy, I'm not going to reveal security holes of who we're at and all this stuff. And but anyway, I can provide enough to probably answer some technical questions regardless. So, first of all, a lot of people ask about cameras and if they have sensors in the windows or the doors and stuff like that. Yes, they do for the most part. However, the one thing that just sticks out a lot in these hotels is you got lots and lots and lots and lots of cameras everywhere. Especially larger properties, they get cameras. They can afford it. They can afford it because the one thing that they got the money for it, and it's important to them. But they can afford to put everywhere. And also on top of that, they usually have redundancy. So anywhere on the property, you usually have at least 2 cameras looking at the same spot. So those you folks out there think you're let's say Circus or Mandalay Bay or whatever treasure island, or you think you're snuck around the corner, odds are there's a camera looking at you. You don't realize it's there. And you can think of casino floors definitely covered everywhere, hallways and corridors. There's cameras facing the front and the side of the buildings, and parking lots, employee areas. And now, one thing that legally the hotel properties cannot do is put a camera in the bedrooms. That's probably a given. But however, there's certainly monitoring on the outside of these of the bedrooms and all this to the rooms. So now, cameras themselves, the reason why there's, and now granted, talk about a lot of people ask too, do they have, alarming systems for the windows? What somebody can, how do they figure out if a window's broke? They technically could wire up each window, each windowsill with some type of sensor, but it's actually more practical to point a camera at the front of a building, and with the sophistication of the new equipment, it actually creates an alarm for them. So that kind of segues into the equipment is becoming much, much, much more sophisticated, and very quickly too. I mean, equipment just 5 or 6 years old doesn't compare to the stuff that's going on right now, and also much cheaper. So cameras used to cost $1,000. There's cameras now that cost, let's say, less than $100 that do a lot more than cameras used to cost $1,000. And so, with that in mind, these properties deploy more cameras and deploy more equipment and sensor and monitor a lot more. One thing I was a little bit surprised with all this stuff is the relatively small staff that's monitoring all of this stuff. You would think there would be banks of people watching, monitors, hundreds of people, but really a handful, and that's really all they need. Because the sophisticated equipment actually gets the attention of whoever's monitoring it on that specific spot. So there's no need to sit there and watch the monitor for 24/7. You just wait for an event alert to happen. So like I say, this stuff here, for the most part. Now, do they have other more sophisticated stuff like infrared equipment? Yes, there's a lot of other actuation type of equipment out there. Security openings, stuff like that. But for the most part, you're going to see here in the hotels, lots of cameras. So anyway, now let's get to the big question. How come Mandalay Bay missed the shooter? Obviously, they did. This gentleman here, I'm going to just call him gentleman, the murderer. My apologies for all this gentleman, because he's not a gentleman if he killed that many people. Snuck in with apparently dozens of guns into his suite, and just done over a few days here. Obviously, Mandalay Bay was not on top of it. But obviously here, this whole shooting was very well planned, very well orchestrated. So the security people at Mandalay Bay obviously cannot really prepare for something that you never thought was going to happen. So there you are. However, they did react very quickly. According to what I've read, what I've seen here, one of the security folks at Mandalay Bay was able to locate the shooter within about 10 minutes after the shooting started, which it subsequently notified the police, SWAT, and all that stuff, and cut would have been a much longer melee of shootings down to 9, 10, 15 minutes. It was bad. It was terrible. It was gruesome. 59 people lost their lives, and hundreds of people were injured. However, it could have been a lot worse had it not been for Mandalay Bay security being on the ball. And a lot of them being on the ball was because of the security equipment they had to be able to respond on. So anyway, I'm pretty sure there's lots of video footage. There's nothing here to sell too. They may not have caught the killer at the time, but they could surely have lots of information on backtracking as to how he got there, why he got there, where he's bringing in. There's certainly lots of video footage that the powers that be are going to be sifting through over the many days and weeks and months to follow here, to try to figure out what happened and why. And rest assured, the security folks here, one thing I notice as well here too is if an event happened, they make sure they analyze it, and they take measures to make sure it doesn't happen again. And this is definitely going to be a one-time situation for Mandalay Bay. So it's unfortunate. It has to happen after the fact. They have to be reactive, but what can you do? Anyway, now granted, this, another thing I mentioned here too. This is a a podcast to help small business owners. So how does this all help out the small business owners? Well, it actually does in a way. Because of these hotels, because of the high security and demand for it, and high demand for it, they push the cutting edge of the technology. They push the cutting edge on the cost factors, so on and so forth, to make it actually much cheaper for the small business owners to be able to secure their facilities to be much, much sophisticated and much cheaper than ever before. For instance, one of my clients were working on a DVR system. It just bought a 60-channel DVR for less than $1,000, and that's less than $1,000. They got smart monitoring. They got remote access to the cameras via internet. Relatively easy to install and set up. I mean, for what one camera used to cost, now it can do, they have a very, very sophisticated system that would just run circles around what things were 10 years ago. And that's all thanks to the larger hotels and motels, casinos, pushing the edge of this type of technology. Now, here's something else. Many small and medium-sized businesses, they fall short on adequate security because they're thinking 5 years, 10 years ago, and how much it costs then. And I tell you, now time, if you haven't thought about what security costs, now's the time to revisit all that, because it's getting, like I say, cheaper and cheaper and cheaper. If you think it's too expensive, you think again. If you think it's too complicated, well, it could be, but you want that complexity. Really, the installations, and it's not as complicated as it used to be. And quite often, a lot of small business owners, they keep that mentality that it costs too much. They put off putting the security systems like this together, camera systems like this together, until they get robbed. And it's too late. It's like after the fact. So this is something I probably wanted to, in summarizing here, you folks out there, small and medium-sized businesses that don't have a security system or have not updated in a while here, may want to rethink that. If anything comes out of this Mandalay Bay situation, is probably let's look at your security system, make sure it's all up to date. So anyway, in summary, casinos like Mandalay Bay and my other clients I've seen, they're very heavily secured. They got lots of cameras everywhere, and the security is getting better and better while costing less and less. Unfortunately, even the best security can't catch everything, like what happened here over the weekend. The shooter basically got away with murdering 59 people. However, Mandalay Bay and the other casinos will observe what's going on, assess what's happening, and they're going to improve. They're definitely going to improve the security to make sure it doesn't happen again. So anyway, that's going to be it for this episode here. And once again, for my friends in Las Vegas, I'm so glad that all you here to listen to this podcast. I hope my heart was just sank to the ground when I heard about this. So I'm so happy to know that all you folks are okay. My prayers for the folks who had been hurt, injured, or lost a loved one through this. Prayers out for you. So anyway, that's it, this episode. Thanks for watching and listening. Good luck and Godspeed to your online success. That concludes this episode of Tech Talk with Dan Harley. Be sure to visit us at primeconcepts.net, where you will find the entire library of episodes of this podcast along with great information. Visit us at primeconcepts.net.